Welcome back, everybody. Disappointing. Disappointing is the only word I could think of after watching that game. That was absolutely abysmal. Preseason or not, you just don't want to see the team perform like that. And, I was just, it is the same old play, same old system, same old results, same old games, just new players. And I feel like that's we're getting a trend here because of that. It feels like Arteta's just hitting his ceiling right now. And I support whoever they appoint. Mikel Arteta, I will back. I'll back as long as he's our manager. I will back him and I will support him full on. I have no issue with him. He's done nothing wrong. He's given us everything, and I know that he has. But I do want to see some more creativity in how he approaches this season. I feel like we're just running into the same issues. Our attacking third is just not strong enough. And I said this a million times too. It doesn't matter who's our number 9. But they're just not going to get the opportunities that a true number 9 should get. And what I mean by that is Kai Havertz, Marino, Gyökeres, Jesus. Those are four decent attackers that I would say. And why haven't any of them hit their stride? And it's because they're not getting the opportunities that a true number 9 should get. Gyökeres, 4 touches on the ball today. That's a real number 9 that we set out and we got. 4 touches in total today against a team that he would rip apart if he was on Sporting. Rip apart. That's a Champions League team that we're probably going to face this year. Let's be honest. We're going to face them. We really will. And if we play like we did today, we're losing 9 times out of 10. And it's just ridiculous to see that we're running into the same old issues. And I hate to do it. I hate to complain about it because I want to see some change. I want to see a more creative, team. And I'm going to hold off a little bit. We still have one more preseason game, and then we're off to Man United. But this next preseason game on Saturday, I want to see Arteta's full-on starting 11 that is going to play against Man United in 2 weeks' time. I want to see the same starting 11. None of this creative, get your touches. This is the last game before, 38 games plus Champions League, plus FA Cup, plus Carabao Cup. I want to see our best 11 out on Saturday, and I want to beat Athletic 5-0. I would like to see one of those games that we had in the run-in 2 years ago. That's what I want to see from this Arsenal squad, and that's what I see. I want to see Mikel Arteta provide for the fan base, provide for the team. They deserve results. Even in preseason, we deserve results. Fans, players, everyone. We deserve results. We deserve that there is something coming from this project that we've been so-called promised for the past 5 years. So I do trust Mikel Arteta. I do believe that he has something up his sleeve, and I think that he can recover from this. It is a preseason game, but I think that we should still be treating games like games, and it doesn't matter whether it's played in, July, August, or September. A game's a game. They still have the same meaning. These players still get paid to do it week in, week out. So I want to see, the best starting 11 that we can provide. And I want to see some more creative adjustments to Arteta's system. I don't think it's a time to panic at all. I think that, I feel like we were struggling last year as well. In our preseason, but we still came out really strong in the first 5 games. So, like I said, I'm not too worried. I don't think it's time to panic about everything, but I think it's time that we spruce things up and we see some better results from Mikel Arteta and some more creative adjustments that gets the fans excited. Let's look at the player ratings here. We'll do this. David Raya, I think he did a good job, and I'm going to give him his flowers. He made some great saves. A couple of them led to goals, yes. But I think that's more so on Jakub Kiwior rather than Raya's mistakes. If you watch the game back and you see, you see the goals, it's Jakub Kivior who's not shielding correctly, and he's not marking the loose man. The second goal, Kivior was just standing there, not marking anyone. Maybe he's distracted, he's talking to his agent about a move, whatever. Who knows what's going on, but you still can't play like that in a preseason game. It doesn't matter what time of year it is or what type of game it is, because it was just, I don't like pointing fingers because I still think that it was a lot of people. Lewis Skelly, I thought, Nicolas Pepe came for revenge, as he should. We treated him very poorly, and he was kind of dicing Lewis Skelly up. And, we had a loose runner coming up to the top of the box, and nobody was marking him. And he was able to get a shot off, hit off the post, and then obviously they tap in the scrap. So I think, that should have been stopped right away. We shouldn't have gotten to that point. We should have stepped out and stopped that shot. So I would give this back line, and I would give David Raya, I think it's fair to say, a 6 or 7 out of 10. Ben White, I thought was okay. He's still kind of making some mistakes, but I'll give him, the benefit of the doubt. He hasn't really played much. He's coming back. He's still kind of coming back from injury. And he really missed a lot of games last season. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I do think that he will step up and play better throughout the year. Do I think he gets to start against Man United? I hope not. I think Jurrien Timber is still stronger than him. Yes, Timber hasn't really played a lot this preseason, but he still looked really good today when he came on. Saliba always looking good. He really had to track back a lot today because we were playing such a high back line that, we weren't able to really. We were very vulnerable in the counterattack, and you could tell. I think their 3 goals came from counterattack, and I don't want to blame Saliba on that because I know that's a system thing, and that was a tactical decision to bring Saliba so high up the pitch so that they could, have more of a presence up the field and keep the ball in their opponent's half. So, maybe a 6 is a little aggressive because he still did really well on his 1v1s, but, I'll give him a 7 in my opinion. Jakub Kivior, I think it's fair 6. I think that both of his goals were the first 2 goals were definitely his fault. So hopefully he can learn and do better from that. Lewis Skelly did well when he moved into midfield, and I think he started left back pretty well. Like I said, though, Pepe was after revenge, and I think he was kind of dicing up Lewis Skelly. I'm not going to lie. Pepe looked good. Like, seriously, if he was a understudy to Saka, I wouldn't even be that mad. Like I said, I don't think he was a flop for Arsenal. I think we treated him poorly. If he's considered a flop, then Rasmus Højlund, Joshua Zirkzee, those Man United signings, they should be considered. João Felix for Chelsea, Darwin Núñez, those are considered way worse than flops, in my opinion, if Pepe was considered a flop. Mikel Merino, I thought, played really well. He played basically the whole game. I would say maybe bump him up to like 7.5. I thought he had a great game. He's just so reliable. He's a really reliable player. He made some mistakes, yeah, sure. He gave the ball away a few times, but it seemed like he was the one pressing for that attacking threat. He was making some good runs in behind him, and Lewis Skelly linked up a bunch. He was able to get crosses in, but nobody was there to tap him in, and I don't think that's his fault. So I'll boost him up to a 7.5 in my opinion. Norgard, I thought, had a fantastic game. He got the goal. He got his first goal for the Arsenal, so welcome to the Arsenal. I think he's a great signing for the price tag we paid for him, and he's just such a good defensive presence in that midfield, and I think he runs a double pivot really well. It seems like he's everywhere, for how old he is. He still has the legs. I do believe that. So I'm really happy on what we saw from Norgard today, and I think that's a positive. And Wary, I thought, played well. There were some chances where you could see that his experience was kind of showing, and it was lackluster because there were some chances I think Gyökeres probably should have picked up the ball rather than Nweri, or he should have played the pass a little sooner. But those are things that you buff out, through coaching and through time and experience. So I think a 7.2 is deserved. Oh, I would probably give Norgard at 8 though, but I think a 7 is deserved for Nwaneri. You know, he made some silly mistakes, but he was really trying his best to push the offense, but it just wasn't enough. And again, I think that's just because of the experience level, and you know, I think he's got a lot to learn. Martinelli, he gets the assist. I was pretty frustrated with Martinelli today. I would like to back Martinelli as much as I can. I think he does have potential. He really does. But now I'm starting to switch and believe that, you know, maybe he's hitting a ceiling right now. And we do need to bring in somebody who's a little bit more competitive and a little bit better to take that pressure off of Saka and now Gyökeres, because, you know, Gyökeres was getting marked like crazy today, which is fair enough. And then Saka obviously gets double teamed every time. So I think Martinelli needs to, you know, step up his game a little bit. And honestly, I give him till January. I know that's controversial, but I don't think it's controversial at all. I think people would agree with me. I think he has till January. If he doesn't step up by January, I think it's time we part ways with Martinelli and kind of cash in on him. We brought him in for 11 million. I don't think we can mess up that transfer any worse. I think we can at least sell him for 70, you know, in today's market. And then Victor Gyökeres, I honestly don't want to judge too much. When he got the ball on his feet, he had some really successful dribbles. He did really well today when he had the ball. But again, I think our offense is just so lackluster that we're not able to give the opportunities to our traditional number 9 that we were pushing so hard for, and now we can't even give him the ball. But this doesn't, and I'll repeat myself again, I've said it a million times, the problems are bigger than having a traditional number 9. A good offense, a good attack, you should be able to put anyone up top and they should bag goals. That's my opinion. A good offense should not rely on one guy to score all the goals. You should rely on a collective group effort to score the goals. You should have, you know, Nwaneri, Odegaard, Merino, Norgard, our whole midfield should be able to work with the front 3 to get assists, to get opportunities, to get goals. And it shouldn't rely on one man. And it seems like people kind of had this expectation that Gyökeres is going to come in and bang. No, it's a group effort. And we were struggling with Kai Havertz up top. I don't think it's Kai Havertz's fault. We were struggling with Merino up top. Yes, he scored goals. Good. Glad he did. Don't think it was Merino's fault. He probably could have scored a million more if we had a solid number 8, solid number 10, willing to put in the effort and actually create better opportunities. Odegaard's just not hitting his strides right now, and I think that injury just really messed with his mental, and it's hurting. You know, it's hurting him. It really is hurting. It's translating onto the pitch. So, you know, if I were him, I'll definitely be talking to a sports therapist, because he's changed dramatically since that injury. And you know what, as a former athlete, like, I understand, you know, injuries definitely impact the mental, and I just think, you know, I'm starting to want to expect better from him, but I'll give him his time to adjust again. You know, I'll give him his time. Let's look at the bench here. Mosquera, great player, seriously a great player, and I think it's a steal that we got him for the price. I thought he looks good. His touch looked a little heavy, but again, that's something that you can kind of work out over time. But I think he's rapid. I think he's a great defender. He's really good at winning aerial duels. He's a tall presence on the back line. I'd like to see him bulk up a little bit more. He's a little lanky, but you know, I think he's going to fit well. And I think he's a great defensive signing for us that can just plug and play with that back line like Mikel Arteta likes to do. So yeah. Oh, let me go back and rate these, by the way. Martinelli, I'll give him a 7. You know, he got the assist. It was a great corner. Gyökeres, I just feel like I didn't see enough from him. Like, honestly, like, I'll give him a 6. And I don't think it's his fault. Again, I don't think, you know, that, oh, he's a flop, whatever. But that's so quick to judge. We haven't even gotten to like a real season game. Yeah, I'll give him a 6, though. He just didn't see enough from him, honestly. Saka, 6 as well, which, again, seemed like he was kind of not there because people are figuring us out. Mosquera, I'll give a 7. I think he played really well. Zubimendi, gosh, he's so freaking good. I mean, wow, what a player that is! What a signing. You know, I'll give him an 8. I thought he plugged in really well, and he was really like there to pick up the scrap for when our offense wasn't firing really well. Yeah, I'm giving Zubimendi an 8. I thought he was really good today. Kepa, I think, is a great goalie. I really do. He came in, he said, hey, I'm not going to just roll over and die. I'm going to compete for my position. I think that's exactly what he's doing right now. And I think David Raya is kind of playing a little scared. And that's only, he just looks a little shaky right now. But again, I think Kepa's a great signing for us. $5 million for a really strong backup keeper. He's so much experience, and I think he's going to be great in cup games and even Champions League games. Seriously, he's great ball playing goalie. I think he can make some great saves. He really is a good presence to have in goal, and I'm not scared. Last year I was scared when Neto got in goal. He did this crazy out of the box attempt at a save. It was insane. But yeah, I'll give Kepa a 7. He had a couple. He's a great penalty goalie, so I'm glad he's doing that, because David Raya was a little suspect on penalties last year. Gabriel, I'm glad he's back. I'm glad he's healthy. He had a really good game, and I'm really happy to see him back. So I'll give him a 7 as well. And Jurrien Timber, again, I thought he was great. So another 7. He's playing like he played last year, and I'm glad he's keeping that rolling. And same with Declan Rice. These foot mob ratings I don't really agree with. I think it's mostly based off stats. I think if you actually watch the game, you saw the context of the play. The bench players honestly did really well. Martin Odegaard got his goal, but again, it seems like he's still trying to slow things down and trying to be a little bit like a robot, and I don't like that. I want to see that true traditional midfielder that we saw when we first signed him on loan. But he finished from the spot. He got his goal. I think a 7's fair. Max Dowman, obviously, winning the penalty. He's such a good player, and it seems like he's the only one that really wants to attack and wants to kind of break the barrier of the defense. And you can tell he's working really hard to do that. So I'm really happy what I'm seeing from Max Dowman. I think he's great potential, and I hope that we don't rush him. I hope that we're patient with him, and honestly, like, I don't see him playing a lot this year. I think he just needs to do some cameos still. I just don't. You don't want to rush greatness. You really don't. You don't want to rush greatness, and if he's as good as he really is, you'll see him in spurts. But I think he's a great player for now, and I think he's going to continue to grow. Zinchenko, same old Zinchenko. He just looks a little slower, but he's still, he's able to kind of control. He's a good leader on the team. I saw a report that we're looking to keep him, and I hope we can offload him. I just don't see the need to have, another left back like him on the sheet. I just don't think it's really worth it for us, and he's got high wages. That would free up a lot, so I'm hoping to get rid of him. Nani Madueke, I can't judge him off of 15 minutes. I just don't think it's fair. Yes, he missed a penalty. You know what? It wasn't the best penalty. Whatever. 15. He got on for 15 minutes, and then he was instantly thrown into a penalty shootout. I can't blame him for not really adjusting to the game, and I just don't think it's fair to judge him based off that. I don't think it's fair to judge him at all. So I want to see him have a little bit more game time. Maybe on Saturday he'll get a little bit more, and we'll watch that game. But yeah, that's kind of it, though. I mean, it was a great game. I think Villarreal, and I say great game because I think Villarreal really showed up and they challenged us, and I'm glad that we had that challenge early on, and we're kind of figuring out our mistakes now. I think the point of this preseason is kind of figure out our weaknesses, and our weaknesses right now is creativity. And it seems like we're repeating ourselves as fans because that's what we were complaining about last year. But you know what? I think we'll grow as a team, and I still believe in this team. I still believe in the managers, or the manager and the coaches. I think that we can get it done this year, and it's just it's so many new faces, so many new things, that it takes time to mesh together and build that chemistry up again. You have players that are getting used to us, and you have players that are, hearing the rumors, maybe they're not coming back or whatever. So just be patient. I don't think this is a time to panic. I think, I'm seeing some good glimpses of players and how they're, adjusting to the new team. And I think we're seeing some good positives from this. I think Dowman, Norgard, Mosquera, I think Gyökeres will hit his strides. You just got to give him time. And yeah, I'm hoping to see some creative changes. Maybe 2 strikers up top, maybe some formation changes, 4-4-2, stuff like that. Someone's gonna have to be chopped, and someone's gonna have to ride the bench or suffer in game time. But that, you got to be willing to do that. And Mikel Arteta's got to be, a harsh enough manager to take those actions. So, well, thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys can catch me on Saturday and watch the live stream.